There's a lot of 3D printing going on in the Star Wars community, and I've seen in fan groups of customizers 3D printing figures, 3D printing accessories, and even 3D printing playsets and dioramas. And that's pretty cool. But I've never been completely convinced that 3D printing is all that great looking. I don't know, it's every time I see it, it's not the same as factory made plastics, you know, because you got the 3D printed, it has layers. And so you see those layers and those striations. I only have one item in my collection that includes 3D printing, and that is a vintage Kenner X-Wing, because it was the vehicle that I restored. And rather than pay the expensive prices of replacing the guns, I chose to go ahead and use 3D printed guns. And I saw this seller on eBay that seemed to do a really good job. So I decided to take the risk. Well, maybe it'll look good. And while I will say, you know, when you look at them from a distance, it looks fantastic. You can't really tell. But when you do a close-up look at this 3D printed guns, you can tell. You can totally tell. You can see the lines. And this is supposedly on a setting that it's like the smooth setting, but you can still see that it's 3D printed for one thing, especially when you compare with the original gun. And so you got the 3D printed gun here and the original gun here, and you can tell the difference. The seller didn't do a perfect job of replicating the original gun, even though it was a good attempt. It's just that I can look at it and see the lines, and you know, it still kind of bugs me. And you can see that it doesn't even have the same shine to it, whereas the original has this shine to the plastic. I had recently seen in a Facebook group this picture of R2-D2, a clear R2-D2, and I thought, wow, that looks really good. The seller offers 3D printed figures, and I was never really impressed. But I saw this R2 and I thought, wow, this looks really good. Maybe 3D printing has improved. It doesn't look 3D printed. So I decided, well, I'll give it a try, because I've only been purchasing from the Next 17, which I love their figures, and I've only been purchasing from Stan Solo Creations, which are fantastic. There's all these other people who create different kinds of figures, so I thought, well, why don't I try this one? Maybe 3D printing is not that bad now. Here is the figure in this box. I have not looked at it yet. You'll get my honest opinion, so let's take a look. See here? Not opened yet. First time ever seeing a 3D printed figure up close. And here we go. Okay. There's the figure. So far, so good. Okay, move the box out of the way. It looks really good. It looks really clear. Got a little weight to it. Dome is not very clear. Not as clear as the body or the legs. Doesn't have a screw in. Let's see, I'm gonna turn the legs. Let's see. The legs seems pretty strong and tight. It was kind of sticky, but it actually has articulation in the dome. It has those lines, the 3D printed lines that I don't really like. You can see them on the legs here, on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it that well here in the lighting, but you can see the lines. It's fine, I guess. For something that is 3D printed It looks a lot better than I expected. Well, it does have the lines that's associated with 3D printed, but it's not so obvious. It's not so objectionable that I wouldn't put this in my collection. Would I buy another 3D printed figure? I'm still on the fence. Do I love it? No, I don't love it. Just something that's different, clear droid. I wouldn't call this an R2-D2. This could be, I don't know, R2CL. The sticker looks fantastic. I think it's kind of disappointing that you can tell that it's coated with something, and the fact that it's not an accurate reproduction of a Kenner type figure, it just disappoints me that it costs the same amount as a Stan Solo figure. Stan Solo Creations has set a high bar for standards in action figure creations. I do have a lot of misgivings about this type of figure, but it's okay. There may be sometime later down the road a customizer who creates this absolutely fantastic looking or styled 3D printed figure, and I just gotta have it. It could happen, but as it stands now, I will stick to the customizers that I normally purchase from. So what do you think about 3D printed figures? Does this look fantastic? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and click subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. See you on the next Star Wars Obsessed.